So does Nietzsche fall? Is this a good time to bring him up? Is he
I would,
relevant? Is he relevant to this conversation about
I think so. I
the?
mean, with Nietzsche, we get back into the two hemispheres of the brain. And I think this is another thing that a good thing to bring up that's been weaponized is the continental philosophy versus analytical philosophy, kind of two schools. And I almost think of it as the left brain versus the right brain. It's almost like you have people who are right brain oriented,
Right.
and they're defending that, the creative, and then you have the left brain people who are defending that, and they're attacking. So you have this war going on between the continental philosophers and the analytical philosophers. And my assertion would be that we need both. That, and this gets back to getting the artistic expression, to get the two hemispheres in harmony. That's the first start, is to find harmony in yourself. But we have this war going on, and I don't really see. Well, I see why, because they're using everything they can to create division, and so Nietzsche's a big player in that. He's a big on the continental.
Anything else you want to add about him?
I kind of wanted to bring up maybe about Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson was talking about Nietzsche, and you've been studying Nietzsche through Peterson's program, right?
Yes, yes.
I'm a huge fan of Jordan Peterson. I think if there was one person that I could pick to talk to, it might be him.
I think you're right. I think you're damn well. I think me too, man. Just his interest in his intellectual interest, forget his capacity, but his interest in the brain, in the soul, in wanting to understand this phenomenon of life, and not wanting to be shy away from opinions or beliefs or stances, but also not wanting to be dogmatic. I mean, I think he's the guy, the storyteller, the studier of symbols, the master of Jung and Nietzsche. It's been amazing, listening to him, and the other courses, I'm still plowing through them on the Peterson Academy. And one of them, Baumeister, Dr. Roy Baumeister, actually, I think it was the first one I took when this was a couple months ago now, on sociology, psychology. And talking about, so he didn't really talk in terms of the left and right hemisphere, but he was talking about how basically, yes, both are necessary, both sides, balance, harmony in the body, in the social body politic. So of course you need both redistribution and wealth creation. And so the perfect system might not be something that harmonizes both. And so that's, of course, reasonable, but it's not fun. How do you sell that? I believe in harmony between the two political sides. My political ideology is balance. I mean,
maybe that's kind of where Nietzsche comes in, because Nietzsche is famous for you heard of the Apollonian Dionysian.
Peterson touched upon that, the two sides of the brain. That's basically the two parts of the soul, right? The artistic side.
Yeah, I'm not sure if a lot of people would agree with that. I'm not saying I made that theory up. I certainly didn't, but I know Nietzsche, I don't think, was aware of the two hemispheres. But looking at how he was, very poetic, very
romantic.
I think he's a big one on the continental side. And this is where
continental is more. Give me, what was the difference between continental and analytical?
Continental, it's very right brainish, I would say. Very creative, very poetic, very romantic.
I see.
But they then scorn a lot of rationality. That's kind of where the beginnings of this, the feud between the continentals and the analytics.
And what is the ultimate feud crystallized between the two sides?
I mean, if there's one thing that I'm trying to put forth, is the idea that you need both. If you have, and this is where we get back to the education. You ever hear of STEAM education? You've heard of STEM.
I think I might have, yes, right.
So with art, STEAM.
Okay.
I mean, I would argue that STEAM is invention. That you're using art along with STEM. You're using creativity to solve a utility problem. That is exactly what a invention is. I mean, if you got a patent, uh, the patent office gives you a monopoly for having something that's unobvious. There are several requirements, but one of them is that it's unobvious to someone skilled in the art. So you're talking about someone who's in the field, who's done it their whole life. You're not going to get a patent on something in theory unless this is unobvious to that person. So that's where an inventor comes in. You know, the inventor is someone who has to come in as someone who maybe isn't, you know, as versed as an expert in that field, and yet come up with something.
Right.
So that is where this becomes important, because you need creativity to do that, but you also need analytical skill. And it's almost like I see people, rather than embracing and using the two, and they become very powerful working together, I think. Now, you have your art teacher who brags about the fact that she doesn't know anything about science because she's so involved in art, but she has the creative ability maybe to invent if she knew something about science.
Right.
And then you have the scientists
pollinating and
exactly. Great way to look at it. Yes. So that's where the battle between these is really damaging, because there is so much potential power there that isn't being used.